The brown sugar betrayal, natural sweetness, deceptive damage. Eleanor's suspicion about her oatmeal mix-ins deepened. The first ingredient she scrutinized was the seemingly innocent brown sugar she added daily for that touch of natural sweetness. That comforting scoop of brown sugar in your morning oatmeal? It might feel more wholesome than white sugar, but your body after 60 screams a different story. A story of an insulin roller coaster. Consider Janet, 67, who meticulously stirred brown sugar into her oatmeal each morning, firmly believing it was a healthier choice than refined white sugar. Yet, an undeniable pattern of senior fatigue plagued her. "I just don't understand why I hit a wall by 10:30 a.m. every day," she'd complained to her daughter over the phone. "I eat so well, starting with my healthy oatmeal." What Janet didn't realize was that brown sugar's deceptive natural image masked its true impact. Despite its less processed appearance, brown sugar is metabolized by the body in much the same way as white sugar. For seniors, whose bodies are often more sensitive, this can trigger a sharp rise in blood sugar. This initial surge is frequently followed by a blood sugar crash, leading to the very tiredness, mental fog, and even increased hunger that Janet experienced. Over time, these repeated spikes in blood sugar can wear down the body's insulin response. As individuals age, the pancreas may produce less insulin, and the body can become more resistant to the insulin it does produce. Adding a fast-absorbing sugar like brown sugar to this scenario significantly increases the risk of type 2 diabetes. Her doctor later put it starkly to a shocked Janet during a consultation about her persistent fatigue. "When you add that brown sugar, it's like pouring gasoline on a fire for your system." Janet's initial reaction was dismissal. "It's just a spoonful," she'd reasoned, but the daily energy slumps were undeniable. After the doctor's visit and further discussion about the physiological impact on her insulin response, a gradual realization dawned. She decided to try her oatmeal without the added brown sugar. The change was nothing short of remarkable. After just 1 week, Janet called her daughter, her voice noticeably brighter. "You won't believe it, dear. My energy is stable all morning." That tiny spoonful was the saboteur. The problem wasn't just the immediate sugar hit. Brown sugar, like other sugars, often triggers a dopamine release in the brain, the pleasure chemical. As this effect wears off, it can leave you with a dip, prompting a craving for more sweet things later in the day. "It's not about willpower, Janet," her doctor had explained. "It's about chemistry." Understanding this dopamine-driven craving cycle was a key insight for her. Fortunately, there are healthy sweetening alternatives. For those who still desire a touch of sweetness, a few slices of banana or a dash of cinnamon and vanilla can offer gentle, natural flavor without sending blood sugar levels into a tailspin and stressing the insulin response. The goal isn't to fear sweetness, but to avoid flooding the body with the kind that burns fast and leaves damage. Janet, now wiser and appreciating her newfound stable energy, sipped her mid-morning tea thoughtfully. "If brown sugar was such a trickster," she mused, "what about those diet sweeteners I see everyone using? Surely, they must be safe? Or are they another wolf in disguise? Artificial sweeteners. The zero-calorie mirage that can wreck your metabolism." Janet, now avoiding brown sugar, felt a surge of empowerment. But her relief was short-lived as she eyed the little pink and yellow packets her friend Charles always used. 0 calories, 0 sugar. Sounds perfect, right? She thought. Or was this another clever trap for health-conscious seniors? Those innocent-looking pink or yellow packets promising sweetness without the sugar. For seniors, they might be a metabolic minefield, confusing your body and stressing your liver more than you realize. Take the case of Charles, 74, who managed his diabetes with diligent care. He religiously used artificial sweeteners like sucralose, aspartame, or saccharin in his daily oatmeal, believing he was making the smartest choice given his condition. "My doctor said to watch sugar, so these are my go-to," he confidently told his concerned son during a discussion about his health following a routine checkup. Despite his efforts, Charles had been experiencing unexplained fatigue, a common complaint that can significantly impact a senior's quality of life. The allure of zero-calorie artificial sweeteners is strong, especially for those monitoring blood sugar. However, the way these substances interact with the body is complex. Sweetness without accompanying calories can confuse the body's natural metabolic processes. This mismatch can potentially alter the insulin response, even in the absence of actual sugar. It might also increase cravings for sweet foods later in the day and even slow down the overall metabolism. For older adults, whose hormonal sensitivities are already shifting, such disruptions can make it more challenging to manage weight and control blood sugar effectively. Charles's son, having done some reading, shared a point with him. It seems your body expects energy with sweetness. When it doesn't get it, things can go haywire with your metabolism. Charles initially held onto his confidence in his diabetic-friendly choice. Yet, his persistent fatigue, coupled with blood tests revealing slightly elevated liver enzymes, prompted his doctor to suggest a trial period of cutting out all artificial additives. Charles was skeptical. How can something with no calories be a problem? He wondered. The liver, however, plays a crucial role. Many artificial sweeteners are processed by the liver, and although they may not raise blood sugar directly, they still require filtration. Over time, especially with daily consumption, this can add an unnecessary burden to an aging liver, which might already be managing medications, age-related slowdowns, or other dietary components. Reluctantly, Charles followed the advice. After a few weeks, he noticed a marked improvement in his digestion, and his fatigue began to lift. His follow-up liver panel showed his enzyme levels had improved. He exclaimed to his son, a tone of surprise in his voice, "I thought I was helping myself. Turns out, I was just giving my liver an extra, unnecessary job." This highlighted a key insight: the cumulative liver load from these additives. For those seeking sweetness without the adverse effects of artificial sweeteners' dangers, options like cinnamon, nutmeg, a splash of almond extract, or even small amounts of real fruit can satisfy a sweet tooth while offering actual nutrients and avoiding undue stress on the senior metabolism and liver health. Charles, feeling noticeably better and more informed about his gut health, shared his discovery with his friend Gerald. Gerald listened intently, then nodded. "That's interesting, Charles," he said. "I don't use those, but I do load my oatmeal with dried fruit for fiber. That's pure fruit, so it must be fine. Right? Dried fruits. Nature's candy that can overwhelm your liver." Charles, feeling noticeably better after ditching artificial sweeteners, shared his discovery with his friend Gerald. Gerald listened intently, then nodded. "That's interesting, Charles," he said. "I don't use those, but I do load my oatmeal with dried fruit for fiber. That's pure fruit, so it must be fine. Right?" His question hung in the air, highlighting another common belief about healthy eating. A handful of raisins or dried cranberries in your oatmeal seems like a fiber-rich, wholesome choice, doesn't it? But for seniors, these concentrated sugar morsels can be a direct ticket to liver stress. Consider Gerald, 69, a man who diligently added a generous portion of dried apricots to his oatmeal each morning. It's fruit, packed with fiber and vitamins. He would proudly tell his wife, often while ignoring his own persistent bloating and a blood pressure reading that had recently started creeping upwards. The seemingly innocent nature of dried fruits can be quite misleading. The process of drying fruit removes water, which intensely concentrates the sugars, especially fructose. Unlike glucose, which various cells in the body can use for energy, fructose is processed almost entirely by the liver. For an aging liver, this can be a significant burden. This fructose overload can potentially lead to fat buildup in the liver, contributing to conditions like non-alcoholic fatty liver disease, a concern that is becoming more prevalent among seniors, even those who do not consume alcohol. During a consultation with a nutritionist regarding his troubling symptoms, the explanation was vivid. Imagine squeezing all the sugar from a whole bag of apricots into just a few bites. That's what your liver faces with that amount of dried fruit, the nutritionist explained to a bewildered Gerald. Furthermore, it's important to be aware that many commercially available dried fruits contain hidden added sugars or syrups used during processing to enhance sweetness and maintain softness. Gerald's firm belief in the inherent health benefits of dried fruit made it difficult for him to accept this information initially. His bloating was worsening, and his doctor had expressed concern over his consistently high blood pressure readings. The nutritionist's shocking explanation about the fructose overload and subsequent liver strain was a turning point, though his reluctance was palpable. "But it's just fruit," he insisted. Persuaded to try an alternative, Gerald hesitantly swapped his daily dried apricots for a handful of fresh blueberries in his oatmeal. Within a few weeks, the results were undeniable. His uncomfortable bloating eased significantly, and at his next checkup, his doctor noted an improvement in his blood pressure. "I had no idea those little pieces could pack such a sugary punch and affect me so much," Gerald admitted to his wife, a newfound understanding in his voice. The key insight was clear. The concentration of sugar, particularly fructose, makes many dried fruits a heavy load for an aging liver, potentially leading to dried fruit dangers like fatty liver disease. Opting for fresh fruit benefits, such as those from apples, berries, or half a banana, provides sweetness along with water, fiber, and nutrients that help slow sugar absorption and ease the liver's burden. Gerald, now enjoying his fresh berries and feeling a distinct sense of relief, watched as his wife reached for a colorful box of maple and brown sugar instant oatmeal packets for a quick breakfast option. "Well, these say heart healthy right on the box, so they must be okay, especially when we're in a rush?" she asked. A new wave of uncertainty washed over Gerald. Flavored oat packets. Convenience that comes with a salty, chemical price. Gerald's realization about dried fruits was a wake-up call. His wife, Carol, 73, however, often relied on pre-flavored oatmeal packets for convenience, especially on busy mornings. "They're quick, easy, and the flavors are nice," she'd say. But was this convenience coming at a hidden cost to her health? Those quick, single-serve flavored oatmeal packets, a senior's dream for an easy meal? More like a nightmare of hidden sodium, artificial flavorings, and chemical additives your aging body struggles to process. Carol lived alone and found the simplicity of flavored oatmeal packets, like apple cinnamon or maple brown sugar, indispensable for her breakfast routine. "They're so easy and they taste good. Plus, the box says heart healthy," she explained to her visiting granddaughter, all the while unconsciously rubbing her slightly swollen hands, a discomfort that had become more frequent lately. This seemingly minor issue was a subtle hint that something was amiss, despite the reassuring labels. The misleading convenience of these packets often masks what's truly inside. Many flavored oat packets contain a surprisingly high sodium content, often between 200 and 300 milligrams or more per serving. While this might not sound like a large amount on its own, it contributes to an overall daily sodium intake that can easily exceed healthy limits for seniors, especially those managing senior blood pressure or concerned about kidney health. Beyond high sodium foods, these packets are frequently loaded with artificial additives. Artificial flavorings, sweeteners, stabilizers, and colorants are used to create appealing tastes and textures, but offer no nutritional value. Instead, these synthetic chemicals burden the liver and kidneys, organs that are already working harder in older adults. "That maple flavor you like, Grandma?" her granddaughter gently pointed out one afternoon, after carefully reading the lengthy ingredient list on a packet. "It's likely a chemical cocktail, not real maple." Carol was attached to the convenience and the perceived health benefits trumpeted by deceptive marketing labels. The idea that her trusty breakfast could be contributing to her increasing puffiness and hand swelling was hard to accept. "A little packet can't do all that," she exclaimed in disbelief when her granddaughter voiced her concerns about the processed foods. However, persuaded to try an experiment, Carol agreed to switch to plain oats with her own cinnamon and apple slices for 1 week. The change was astonishing. Her puffiness noticeably reduced, and her morning blood pressure readings showed a slight improvement. "I never thought. It was just so convenient," Carol admitted, looking at the discarded colorful packet with new, more critical eyes. The key insight was clear. Appealing marketing claims like healthy whole grain or low fat often obscure a long list of undesirable artificial additives. Sometimes, as her granddaughter quipped, 9 added ingredients you can't pronounce. For those seeking genuine health benefits from their oatmeal, the solution is simple. Stick with plain rolled or steel-cut oats and add your own fresh fruit, nuts, or spices. Carol, now a convert to plain oats, felt more energetic and less bloated. While clearing out her pantry, making way for healthier choices, she came across an old container of powdered non-dairy creamer she often added for extra creaminess. "Well, this is non-dairy and cholesterol-free," she mused, tapping the container. "That must be a good thing, especially since I'm lactose intolerant, right? Non-dairy creamers, the creamy illusion hiding heart-harming fats and chemicals." Carol's newfound understanding about flavored oatmeal packets left her feeling more energetic. As she cleared her pantry, she paused at a container of powdered non-dairy creamer she often used. "Well, this is non-dairy and cholesterol-free," she mused, considering her lactose intolerance. "That must be a good thing, right?" Her question highlights a common assumption about such products. That splash of non-dairy creamer making your oatmeal rich and smooth? It might be marketed as cholesterol-free, but many are Trojan horses carrying trans fats, inflammatory oils, and chemicals that can strain a senior heart and liver. Consider Frank, 75, who, also being lactose intolerant, generously used powdered non-dairy creamer not just in his oatmeal, but in his coffee and even soups to achieve a desired creaminess. "It's light, no cholesterol, what's not to like?" he'd tell his son, dismissing his recent digestive issues and the rising cholesterol levels his doctor had flagged with concern. Frank valued the convenience and the seemingly healthy profile of his favorite creamer. However, the deceptive marketing of non-dairy creamers often conceals a problematic list of ingredients. Many of these products, whether powdered or liquid, are made with hydrogenated or partially hydrogenated oils. These are significant sources of trans fats, notorious for their negative impact on senior heart health by raising LDL, the bad, cholesterol, and lowering HDL, the good, cholesterol. This is a dangerous combination for anyone, but particularly for seniors who may already be managing cardiovascular risk. It's also crucial to understand how trans fat-free labels can be misleading. Products can claim this if the trans fat amount per serving is below a certain threshold, but those small amounts can accumulate with regular use. Beyond trans fats and hydrogenated oils, these creamers often contain an array of thickeners, emulsifiers, and artificial flavors. These compounds don't nourish the body. They are designed to mimic the creaminess and taste of milk or cream without providing actual nutrients. Instead, they can burden the liver and kidneys, forcing them to work harder at filtration. Over time, regular consumption can contribute to chronic inflammation, a known driver of heart disease, joint pain, and even cognitive decline. "That creamy texture you like, Dad?" Frank's son gently explained one day, referencing a health article. "It's often from oils and chemicals, not real nourishment." Frank's journey involved a period of worsening digestive issues and concerning cholesterol reports. His doctor eventually advised him to stop using all creamers, a suggestion Frank initially met with skepticism. "It's just powder," he'd exclaimed, finding it hard to believe such a simple product could be the culprit. However, after 2 months of eliminating creamers from his diet, the results were undeniable. Frank's lab results showed improvement, and his stomach issues had subsided significantly. "I honestly thought it was harmless," he confessed to his son, a note of disbelief still in his voice. "I didn't realize it was messing up so much inside me." This experience underscored a key insight. The marketing of light, convenient, and cholesterol-free can hide slow, quiet damage from non-dairy creamer dangers, affecting cholesterol management and promoting inflammation. For those seeking healthier alternatives, unsweetened almond milk, oat milk, a small splash of organic dairy cream, if tolerated, or even a spoonful of plain yogurt can provide creaminess without the synthetic load. Frank, feeling much better, discussed his creamer revelation with his gym buddy, Ellen. Ellen, always health-conscious, listened intently and then mentioned she often adds store-bought granola to her oatmeal for healthy crunch and fiber. "It's full of oats and nuts. The box says so," she beamed. Frank, now more wary of seemingly healthy additions, found himself wondering if this healthy crunch also had a hidden catch. Store-bought granola. The healthy crunch that's often a sugar and bad oil trap. Frank, feeling much better after his creamer revelation, discussed his experience with his gym buddy, Ellen. Always health-conscious, Ellen mentioned her own breakfast habit, adding store-bought granola for what she believed was healthy crunch and fiber. "It's full of oats and nuts. The box says so," she beamed. Frank, now more discerning, wondered if this healthy crunch also had a hidden catch. Store-bought granola, the poster child of healthy, wholesome toppings. Think again. Many are metabolic landmines for seniors, packed with hidden sugars, inflammatory oils, and more calories than you bargained for. A common issue in senior nutrition myths. Ellen, 71, religiously added a generous amount of store-bought granola to her oatmeal every morning, seeking that satisfying crunch and an extra dose of fiber. "It's so much healthier than sugary cereals, and it keeps me full," she would tell her daughter during visits. Despite this healthy habit, Ellen often struggled with persistent afternoon energy slumps and found it difficult to manage the stubborn belly fat that concerned her. The misleading health halo surrounding many commercial granolas was at play. The problem often lies in how these granolas are manufactured. To achieve that desirable golden crunch and long shelf life, oats are frequently baked in sugar syrups. Even seemingly healthier sweeteners like honey, brown rice syrup, or evaporated cane juice are still forms of added sugars that can cause blood sugar spikes and insulin stress. Alongside these sugars, manufacturers often use oils such as canola, soybean, or palm oil, which may be refined or even partially hydrogenated. These inflammatory oils, when consumed regularly, can quietly contribute to issues like stiff joints, fatigue, and an increased risk of heart problems. Another significant issue with granola dangers is the often misleading portion sizes listed on nutrition labels. A typical serving might be just a few tablespoons, but most people pour far more than that, unknowingly adding hundreds of hidden calories, dozens of grams of carbohydrates, and fats they hadn't planned on. "That small handful you add, Mom?" Ellen's daughter remarked one day, her eyes wide as she read the granola's nutrition label. "It could have more sugar and unhealthy fat than a chocolate chip cookie." Ellen was initially taken aback. "But it looks so natural with all those seeds and nuts," she protested, her conviction about granola's health benefits strong. However, her persistent energy dips and weight concerns, coupled with her daughter's shocking discovery about the hidden sugar in granola, made her reconsider. Persuaded to make a change, Ellen swapped her daily store-bought granola for a mix of chopped walnuts and plain toasted seeds. Within a few weeks, the difference was noticeable. Her blood sugar readings became more stable, and her afternoon energy slumps vanished. "I was sabotaging my healthy breakfast without even knowing it," she exclaimed to her daughter, finally understanding that even low-sugar or natural granola can be problematic due to processing methods and unhealthy fats. For those seeking healthy crunch alternatives, plain toasted seeds, unsweetened coconut flakes, or raw nuts like almonds or pecans offer real fiber, healthy fats, and nutrients without the unnecessary additives and poor portion control pitfalls. Ellen, now enjoying truly healthy crunch in her oatmeal, felt a renewed sense of control over her well-being. Her friend Dennis, a fitness enthusiast from her gym, happened to mention his own breakfast routine. "I always add a scoop of protein powder to my oatmeal for muscle maintenance," he said confidently. "Extra protein is essential as we age, isn't it?" Ellen, now more skeptical of seemingly healthy additions, found herself wondering. Protein powders, the muscle myth that can strain your aging kidneys. Ellen, now enjoying truly healthy crunch in her oatmeal, felt a renewed sense of control over her well-being. Her friend Dennis, a fitness enthusiast from her gym, happened to mention his own breakfast routine. "I always add a scoop of protein powder to my oatmeal for muscle maintenance," he said confidently. "Extra protein is essential as we age, isn't it?" Ellen, now more skeptical of seemingly healthy additions, found herself wondering about this common advice. Adding protein powder to your oatmeal for that muscle-preserving boost? While protein is vital for seniors, many powders are a cocktail of artificial ingredients that can silently strain your kidneys and liver. Consider Dennis, 78, a fitness-conscious senior who, inspired by a fitness article, diligently mixed protein powder into his oatmeal every morning. "Gotta keep the muscles strong," he'd tell his doctor during routine checkups. Despite his commitment to fitness, Dennis was also on blood pressure medication and had been noticing an increasing, unexplained fatigue. This fatigue was particularly concerning for someone so dedicated to maintaining an active lifestyle. The issue with many commercial protein powders lies hidden beneath claims of muscle support. These products often contain a host of artificial sweeteners, thickening agents, preservatives, and synthetic flavorings. These are substances that the kidneys and liver must filter out. For seniors over 60, whose organs have already processed decades' worth of exposure to food additives, medications, and environmental toxins, adding a daily scoop of processed powder can quietly pile on stress where it's least needed. Furthermore, the aging metabolism doesn't process excess protein as efficiently as it once did. Protein not utilized for tissue repair or energy gets broken down, and the byproducts are filtered through the kidneys. For seniors, particularly those with even mildly reduced kidney health or function, a common occurrence with age, even without a diagnosed kidney disease, this additional load from excess protein can slowly worsen that decline. Your kidneys are working overtime with that powder, Dennis, his doctor explained, pointing to slightly elevated kidney function markers in his latest blood work. Dennis's firm belief in the more protein is better mantra made this news hard to accept. His fatigue was persistent, and the rising kidney markers were undeniable, yet his initial resistance was strong. But it's for my muscles, he argued. However, his doctor's investigation clearly linked the issue to the low-quality protein powder and the overall excess protein in his diet. Convinced to try a different approach, Dennis switched from processed powders to whole food protein sources, such as eggs or a handful of nuts consumed later in the day, thereby reducing his intake of concentrated, processed protein at breakfast. The results were telling. His kidney numbers stabilized, and his persistent fatigue began to lessen. I thought I was doing the best for my body, Dennis reflected later, a note of newfound understanding in his voice. I didn't realize I was overdoing it and stressing it out with those protein powder dangers for seniors. His experience highlights a crucial insight. It's not just about adding more protein. The source, quality, and the body's ability to process it, especially concerning the liver strain and kidney health, are paramount. Healthier alternatives like a spoonful of plain Greek yogurt or a side of eggs offer whole food protein in a balanced way. Dennis, now more mindful, looked at his simple bowl of plain oatmeal adorned with fresh berries. It seems the simplest things are often the best, he thought. After all this, what's the real secret to a truly healthy oatmeal breakfast that supports my body, not harms it? Reclaim your oatmeal. The simple path to a truly health-boosting breakfast. Dennis, now more mindful, looked at his simple bowl of plain oatmeal with fresh berries. It seems the simplest things are often the best, he thought. And after all this, what's the real secret to a truly healthy oatmeal breakfast that supports your body, not harms it? It really boils down to this. Oatmeal itself is a fantastic foundation for a nourishing meal, but the additions you choose matter immensely, especially when you're navigating health after 60. We've journeyed through a landscape of seemingly innocent culprits, that comforting brown sugar, those diet artificial sweeteners, the seemingly natural dried fruits, those oh-so-convenient flavored packets, the creamy non-dairy creamers, the crunchy store-bought granola, and even those muscle-boosting protein powders. Each one, as we've seen through the experiences of people just like Eleanor, Janet, Charles, Gerald, Carol, and Dennis, can bring its own set of challenges. Why are these particularly problematic for seniors? Because an aging body responds differently. It's more sensitive to the onslaught of sugars, various chemical additives, and certain processed fats. The impact isn't always dramatic or immediate. Often, it's a subtle creep of low energy, digestive discomfort, a nudge upwards in blood pressure, or a general feeling of just not being your best. Remember Eleanor's initial confusion over her fatigue? She finally understood her fatigue. It wasn't simply age, it was her healthy additions that were actually working against her long-term health and senior nutrition goals. But here's the empowering part. Knowledge is truly power. You don't need fancy, you don't need packets or powders or sweet tricks to make your oatmeal a champion for your health. Small, mindful eating adjustments and simple swaps can lead to profound positive changes in how you feel every single day. It's about choosing processed food alternatives. So take a moment, right now, Look at your own oatmeal habits. Which of these 7 might be lurking in your bowl? Which are you ready to let go of? Perhaps starting as soon as tomorrow morning. Imagine starting your day feeling genuinely energized, clear-headed, and absolutely confident that your breakfast is your ally, not a hidden foe. Picture a warm, inviting bowl of oatmeal enhanced with real ingredients. A sprinkle of cinnamon for warmth, a handful of fresh berries bursting with antioxidants, a scattering of nuts for healthy fats and crunch, or a splash of clean, unsweetened milk. These are choices that offer support, not strain. Calm, not chaos. This is the kind of healthy oatmeal recipe that truly loves your body back. The journey to better health at any age is paved with informed choices. Your body has worked incredibly hard for you over the decades. Now is the time to return that favor with clarity and respect, one wholesome, delicious bowl at a time. The real secret to a health-boosting breakfast isn't some complicated formula or expensive ingredient. It's not a secret at all. It's simplicity and real food.